SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right.
Hey, folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. Grateful for you tuning in as always. I hope you guys have had a wonderful, fabulous week heading into a long weekend. Superior Catfish. I think that's a good answer. I want you to check out my friends over there in Macon, Mississippi. They produce catfish. Where else from us? From our hallowed ground we call Mississippi, go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. I've said that since the show started back into my 8th year. I believe in folks coming to visit us and celebrate us and understand who we are. And sometimes they never want to leave, and that's an all right thing. So visit Mississippi.org out. Round 5, and he's still standing. That's impressive, my guest today. He's an award-winning author, speaker, and strategic business coach and Benedictine Oblate, drawing on nearly 40 years of business experience and the wisdom of the Rule of Benedict. He incorporates the principles of strategic mindset, stability, community, excellence, and profound hospitality into actionable tools for success. As the author of acclaimed books, including Sell Like a Monk, The Sweet Spot, Where Business Strategy, Positive Psychology, and Faith Principles Converge, and Ultimate Breakthrough Planning. His work empowers purpose-driven entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and mission-focused organizations to achieve strategic growth and long-term success. By fostering clarity, innovation, and strategic planning, he helps create cohesive teams, elevate customer experiences, and align actions with values. This approach leads to what else but thriving businesses and organizations that inspire and create impact. That's what it's all about. Please welcome in my pal, the monk guy, Mike Farrell.
Morning, Steve.
So you said it's negative 21 there in South Dakota?
Yeah. And that's the actual temperature. The wind chill is minus 35.
Okay, let's talk about this. So how does your house heat in temperatures that extreme?
Well, I mean, the furnace is working overtime. There's no question about that. We usually, when we get up in the morning, the furnace is set to 70 degrees, and it's doing all it can do to get to 70 this morning.
Wow. I mean, I did the anthem, I think the Monday night football game or the Sunday night football, one of the ones in Lambeau at night. I used to ask for the coldest time of the year. I wanted to experience it back in my younger days when my blood was a little thicker. But I did it, and I remember it being negative 22 at night, wind chill, but I think it was negative 4 degrees, negative 22. That makes sense?
Yeah, yep.
So I took the negative 22, but I got to tell you something. I couldn't feel myself. It hurt. So we won't spend a lot of time talking about y'all's weather. We've had 20-degree weather here, mid-20s, and it feels like I don't think we could take any more down here.
Yeah, that's cold for you guys. That is really
it's almost like a different kind of cold. Do you think our cold at 20 degrees is different from yours at 20 degrees?
I think yours is colder because you've got more moisture in the air.
Oh, okay.
We're really dry right now. I mean, in fact, it's really unusual because as cold as we are, we don't have an ounce of snow on the ground.
Have you thought about being a weather guy as well?
Yeah.
That's the most accurate, most confident as well, I've ever heard.
Yeah. As much as I've traveled in the South, I've always said that, when it's either really hot or really cold down there, it always feels worse because of the humidity.
Hey, all right. I want to talk about this new book of yours, that you're working on, More Thriving, Less Grumbling. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bring it up in the intro because I wanted to bring it up here. First of all, what got you in the writing room? Was it anything in particular?
Well, I was actually, I knew that there was probably at least one more book in the stable that needed to be done. And, it was actually my wife, Ann, that said, you're doing all of these Monk Principles weekly emails that you send out, which I know you get. Yeah. And, she said, there's a lot of great stuff in there that would make a good book, and so, as I began to think about that and think about, especially, and Sweet Spot was a little bit like that, but Sweet Spot was more of kind of management and leadership in crisis. Whereas I really wanted to focus on something that incorporated the Monk Principles into this idea of strategic growth and really fueling strategic growth through these ancient monastic principles. And so that's really what I'm going to focus on that I'm already focused on in working on the new book. I
love the word less grumbling.
Yeah.
So to me, that says a whole lot. We could write a whole lot about that. Do we spend a significant amount of unnecessary time grumbling and of the negative parts of things rather than looking at thriving toward positive things that are going on around you?
And it's interesting because in the Rule of Benedict, the word grumbling comes up several different times. And in Benedict's world, there is no grumbling. And he says, although when it gets to the point where it's excessive, then you have to start looking at what is the root cause and figuring out what that root cause is and fix it.
Do you ever find yourself stale of inspiration? So everybody that I know that you help in business, a lot of people can it can get extraordinary, not in a good way. It can just get very ordinary, right?
Yeah.
And so lacking motivation, what helps folks get back on track?
Well, I think that for me, it really is continuing to learn. It really is, we all go through those dry spells. You go through it in songwriting. I go through it in book writing, and we all go through it. But I think if we constantly keep our minds open, to new things, to new experiences, to new learning, and another one of the Benedictine principles is lifelong learning. And I think if we keep our minds open to that, it allows us to overcome some of those dry spells that we get in any of the work that we do.
I'm looking at your newsletter right now. The latest one I think I got. I like to copy them and paste them in my Mike Farrell, the Monk guy, note that I've got that now is about a couple miles long. But I love my Wednesday. It feels good to really read these things. It really gets me off to a wonderful start in the middle of my week.
Good.
And folks, you can go to themonkguy.com and sign up for his newsletters. It'll come every Wednesday. It's fantastic. But thought one from the principle of conversation. Was that right?
Conversatio.
Conversatio. You know what? I thought that was. I added an end to that because I didn't believe you. What is conversatio?
So conversatio is the Latin term for a manner of living. Is probably the best definition of it. It's this idea of conversion of life or a manner of living that we live virtuously and work virtuously. So conversatio morum is what the Benedictines refer to as this manner of living or conversation of life to a manner of living.
Wow. I thought that you had a little typo there on your newsletter. That's a word in Mississippi that we don't ever see.
Yeah. Google Docs thought I had one too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course they did. That's funny because that's the difference in one letter.
Yeah.
Am I right there? I'm looking at that. I said, he threw a little parentheses on there rather than an N. That's so funny. Let's take a quick break. We're with the Monk Guy. You can go to themonkguy.com. You can check out all his critically acclaimed, wonderful, award-winning books. They all are connected. And I can't wait to hear and I can't wait to see and get More Thriving, Less Grumbling. When's that going to be out, Mike?
I'm hoping by probably about the May or June, something in there. Some of that's going to depend on the publishing schedule, but that's the goal. Great.
TheMonkGuy.com, SuperiorCatfish.com. You know, at this point, there's a connection between the two of them. Made and produced right here in Mississippi. They're really great folks over there in Macon. I mean, I really, really love all of the team over there and how much they love what they do, how much pride they put in it. Check them out. You can go to store.superiorcatfish.com and it'll come straight to your home. You'll have it in time for dinner one of these days this week. Come on. And visit Mississippi.org, the Country Music Trail Marker System. Check it out. You'll end up in Greenville, and there I'll be. I'm so grateful. I'm Steve Azar. We'll be right back.
It's all right. I'll be okay. Starting today. I'll be okay. Starting today.
There's a ton of content from SuperTalk Mississippi on our new YouTube channel. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi on YouTube or go to supertalk.fm/YouTube. Be sure and subscribe for free to get the latest scoop on what's happening in Mississippi news, politics, sports, and the good things happening here in this from the Sabre, Mississippi.
TheMonkGuy.com. You can follow him. Check his critically acclaimed books out. And also, you can get a newsletter every Wednesday from him that will reinvigorate the middle of your week. Hump Day will never be the same, I'm telling you. SuperiorCatfish.com. There's nothing normal about that because it's fantastic. It's superior. There's catfish. There's superior catfish. Check out my friends. Produced right here in Mississippi. And visit Mississippi.org. It's hunting season right now. I like to talk about it. All my friends dressed in their blaze orange in the morning and their camouflage, and it's like their uniform. All you guys, I'm shouting out to you. And bring home the bacon so I can cook it. I'm ready to go. The Monk Guy is my guest, Mike Farrell. Mike, I'm going to look at some of these other things. You talk about virtuoso?
Virtuousness.
I'm sorry, virtuousness. I was looking for, right there. That was in a separate email I got from the one I was talking about before. You say athletes can constantly use this practice of visualization as they prepare for games, envisioning the exact outcome of what they want to achieve. Okay, I love that because when I pray, I vision. I put myself in my mindset of seeing the end result and that positive victory line, right? The finish line, the touchdown, and so that's how and I'm telling you, I feel like it conjures up a lot of things that will happen in the future. Am I crazy?
Yeah, no, not at all. I think you're hitting it right on. It's interesting. I'll throw another Latin term at you, and I think we've talked a little bit about this before, but the term statio, and statio means to pause. And if you go into any Benedictine monastery or abbey anywhere in the world, outside of the chapel, they have a gathering area. And all of the monks and the nuns will gather in those spots for a few minutes before they go into prayer. To quiet themselves and to do some of this visualization. And, we talk about athletes doing it all the time. And so I think it's a really important aspect, especially in the work world. You're getting ready to walk into a meeting. You're getting ready to, get on a call with a client or have a meeting with a client. And usually we're, running into it with our hair on fire 100 miles an hour. And we don't take any time to prepare or to pause to really think about what it is we're going into. And so that idea of statio flows right into this idea of visualization, in that we take the time, we take that minute or two or 5 minutes or whatever it is
Yeah.
to really think about what are we going to do next and what's the outcome that we want.
From the principle of virtuousness. So let me continue. In our work, we typically don't do a very good job of doing that. We just dive into the task at hand without much regard of how it might look. I love this. You have a cure. A great exercise is to try a great exercise to try is when you sit down each morning and determine what you need to work on today. Visualize a positive outcome for the tasks of the day. Think about what it will feel like to get all accomplished and the outcomes of that. That's awesome. Think about how you feel, how you'll feel at the end of the day and the energy that you can take from what you've done. Start your day with a vision of success and you set yourself up for that success. I love that.
Absolutely. I think that if you really, and the key there is you want to get emotion involved. It's not just that, well, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to get, X amount of sales, or I'm going to get X amount of business, or I'm going to get X amount of meetings done, or whatever. It's how you feel when those are done and they're done successfully. It's getting that emotion involved in that prep session in the morning to get going. I just finished mine this morning a little while ago. I go through the whole day and today happens to be a really crazy day. So I go through that whole day to realize, okay, here's all the things that are going to happen, and the outcomes that I'd like to see. And here's what I want to feel when I, wrap things up tonight.
So I want to ask you though, when folks get to the point where they're overwhelmed, with so much going on in their lives besides their work, the family, health. A lot of people have so many things. How do you focus on success sometimes when everything else can be around you can be in sort of turmoil at times?
Well, I think there you've got to break it into bite-sized pieces. What's success? Is success having a great conversation with your son or daughter or your wife? Is success having a successful day at work? Again, making sure you got your priorities set. What comes first? Faith, family, then work. And really understanding that, okay, the outcome that I'm doing at work is directly linked or connected to my family life, to my faith life. And so when you're thinking about that, what that looks like for success, to be able to break it into bite-sized pieces and say, okay, I got all this other stuff going on. All this crazy stuff is going on, but what's most important?
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. And once you identify that what's most important part, then it's a lot easier to say, okay, these are the outcomes that I want to have happen today.
When did all of this start coming to you into your adult life? I mean, I know that you've had many chapters of your life with things you were passionate about that you've been able to do, from sports to cooking to, you talked about being in seminary and all the stuff that you did. But at what point does all of this collide and it start making sense for you for the man you are today?
I would say probably about 8 years ago. When I really discovered the Rule of Benedict, it was really the missing piece for me that put everything in perspective. It really gave me that, I go back to the seminary and I had a great framework built. I had a great understanding of a faith life and a prayer life and those kinds of things and how to set my priorities. But of course, as we've talked about before, and as you know, especially, you get off track. You get consumed by, okay, how successful am I going to be? How much money am I going to make? How much impact am I going to have? How many cool friends am I going to have? All of those kinds of things. We get sidetracked by those things. And I think what the Rule of Benedict allowed me to do was to come back and center myself on understanding what's the most important thing and understanding that it's my faith and my family that is first and foremost, and my work ties into that. And so it's an ongoing process, though. I certainly don't have it perfected yet, and I probably won't when they plant me. But it's an ongoing process, I think, that we continually evolve and understand it.
Who turned you on to the Benedictine principles?
A good friend of mine here in Sioux Falls. He introduced me to it, and he's the one that really convinced me to join him in creating the Benedictine leadership program that we built. And he's the one that introduced me to it. And then I kind of, after I'd read it the first time, it hooked me. And then I really kind of went off the deep end and really dove into it and did a considerable amount of study on it.
And that obviously has become the cornerstone now and basically the foundation to so many of your work principles, right?
It is. Yeah, absolutely it is. I just had a initial meeting with a potential client yesterday and was talking to him about this is how I work. This is the process that I use. And these are the principles. Those 5 principles are those principles that everything that I do, all the work that I do revolves around those principles, whether it's coaching, whether it's training, whether it's speaking.
Folks out there, if you've got businesses and you're feeling a little stale or you feel like something's missing, you can hire the monk guy. You can. Even in Mississippi, I've got my own day in South Dakota and Mississippi, so why can't the monk guy be helping businesses in Mississippi? I think it makes sense to me. Let's take a quick break. Speaking of Mississippi, well, the day that Mike has a case of Superior Catfish shipped over to his house, he's going to send me all of the ways he's going to prepare it because the man has some major chef skills. I love watching him cook. And everything about it, he sends me pictures. I send him pictures. It's really kind of a weird thing, but it's not. Because that's what all my real friends now, we send each other food pictures of what we're making. What's happened to us? SuperiorCatfish.com. Nothing's happened to them. Check them out and visit Mississippi.org. Plan a road trip to Mississippi. I can't wait to take Mike and dance rabbit one day. It's going to happen at Pearl River Resort. I'm Steve Azar. Don't go nowhere.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
You know that nowadays most people go online to look at a business before they spend their money. What if the online information about your business is incorrect, or even worse, not very flattering? If your online presence isn't great, you may be losing customers. STMM Digital's trusted and highly trained team is the answer. We're ready to work with you to help your business capitalize on the power of digital marketing. Call 601-991-2305 or go to stmmdigital.com to get started today. In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When you've done all you need to do, and you've had more trouble than you can use, and you've painted every
Rocking into a Mississippi Minute with the Monk Guy. Go to themonkguy.com. He is a critically acclaimed, award-winning author. His new book coming out is going to have the word grumbling in it, and I like the word grumbling. I can tell you right now, before we grumble, let's grumble a little bit over Superior Catfish. Please go to superiorcatfish.com. There's catfish. There's Superior Catfish. The math always adds the same. I just don't understand it. And visit Mississippi.org. Really love those folks over there. I was at Rochelle the other day. She's done a great job of leading the way, celebrating Mississippi, and Craig Ray, who was there for many years, my dear friend. So they got great folks over there as well, doing wonderful things for our Mississippi. More Thriving, Less Grumbling will be the book. It won't be too long, and it'll be out. So every book that you do they're all connected, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the first book that I did, Ultimate Breakthrough Planning, was really at that point, way back in 2008, was really just going to be kind of a standalone. I really didn't plan at that point to, be working on my fourth book at this stage.
Yeah.
But since then, and then when I did the revised version of Ultimate Breakthrough Planning, then that tied in. So yeah, they're all tied in, and all of them take a little bit different theme.
I feel like they're. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ultimate Breakthrough Planning was really strategic planning. The sweet spot was really leadership, and especially leadership in crisis. Sell Like a Monk, obviously, is sales. And now More Thriving, Less Grumbling is really going to be about strategic growth using the monastic principles.
These books look great in a set because, you sent them to me. I love them. So do you have the same exact amount of pages in each book?
Not necessarily, but I usually have kind of an idea of how long a book, I don't want to write War and Peace. I want people to actually read it.
Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit of a workbook too, though, when you read it and all
absolutely.
that.
Yeah. I always, at the end of each chapter, I always have some thought questions about, okay, what do you, what should you think about from this chapter?
It's very attractive, the cover artwork and everything. Really, really great work on that. I mean, when we're doing our record, the album cover back and front is supposed to be so important because it's supposed to say a lot about the emotion and the words and everything else that's gone into making that record. What's inside it? I mean, you can judge a book by its cover. You need to judge an album by its cover. So,
absolutely.
Even the expression on your face, or, you know what I mean? For me, it's important that we do those things. Okay. The power of prayer and our brain. You sent me that one day. What are we talking about?
Well, it's interesting. There's a book out, and I've got it here someplace, but it really talks about the psychology and especially the neuroscience of prayer, and it really, she talks about this idea that when we measure the brainwave, and of course with science today, everything has become so advanced. Even 20 years ago, we didn't have the capability to really look at what's the brain doing while we're in prayer. And so they've done now these studies, and even just 5 minutes of prayer a day have a remarkable effect on the way our brain operates. And it really is a very powerful process and tool that we can use in order to get things off on the right foot. Prayer and I think gratitude, the other one that they really hit on, those two things. And, you and I know those very well because we practice them all the time, and I think it really does, from a physiological standpoint and from a mental standpoint, just practicing those two things has a real powerful effect on the brain.
Gratitude, man. I know we've touched on this multiple times at this point, and we're going to sound like a broken record, but it's just so important that you are grateful for the things and the people and in your life that are going on, that it's good, the things that are going well. So we can't always be asking, right? And we can't always be looking forward without being grateful for what is rolling in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I always try to bookend or at least finish up like my thought and prayer with going, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. In my crazy head, my mind sometimes, Mike, and we talked about this a little while ago, it sometimes wanders, and sometimes I spend 3 times longer in prayer because I've spent 3 times longer with my brain not focused, and sometimes it's locked and loaded. Mm-hmm. How can we focus better and get more out of it? Even, you know what I'm saying? What's going on in my mind with all this stuff is going, and what can I do about it?
Well, I think prayer is unique to all of us. I think we all have our own method and process, but I think the one thing that I've found, both in working with clients and also going through spiritual direction, I have a spiritual director that I meet with every month, and what I find is that I think the one thing that we probably most of us don't do very well when it comes to prayer is just quiet listening. It's that reflection. The Benedictines have a method of prayer they call Lectio Divina, which you take just a sentence out of a gospel reading or something like that, and you just let it flow over you, and you read it over and over again and just listen to what it's saying. And I think one of the things that, with our lives, all the busyness that's going on and that kind of thing, I think one of the biggest challenges in prayer is making sure that we're finding that space and that time where we can just be quiet and listen. We don't have to have, prayer is both a conversation and it's a listening experience. And most of the time it's the way we do it, it's a conversation, or it's just us talking.
When you say listening, what are we listening? I mean, what are we listening for? I think
what we're trying to do is quiet our mind to see what is God telling us. What is, and that's where I think, and it takes practice. It's not easy to do, but I think that if you can really work on the fact that even if it's just a couple of minutes in your prayer where you don't do anything, but you just sit and be quiet with whatever it is you've read or prayed or whatever the case may be, if you can just be quiet with it, pick out a word, pick out a sentence, whatever it is, and then try and listen to what God's telling you. I think it takes work, but I can tell you that it makes the prayer life much more fruitful when we're able to do that and able to really take that time to listen to what God's telling us. And we're not, we're doing all the talking and we're not letting them get a word in.
Well, yeah. Well, I love that. And that to me seems really difficult. Because I can see it coming from the other way where you're going your mind won't quiet down, and then you start praying just to quiet it down. So you're still going. You're going. But to be able to actually have the silence in your mind to listen and it be that way, that relaxed, you know what I mean? And that open, man, that sounds really difficult.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have to really work at it, but I think you do it again, like all the other things that we talk about. You do it in bite-sized pieces. Just do it for 2 minutes. Try and just stay quiet for 2 minutes without talking to God, and just see if God will talk back.
What if I want the whole enchilada? Why can't I have it? Well, you're not going to let me eat it at one time? What? Yeah. Can I have the whole elephant at one time? I don't have to take a bite.
This isn't the buffet line, Steve.
I love it. This is Devin. Speaking of buffets, themonkguy.com, by the way, check it out. Sign up for his newsletters. Please check out his incredible books. You got to get them all because it's really, they connect. And it'll help you with your work principles, with your faith principles. Not in that order, flip it. SuperiorCatfish.com. I love segueing into that because Mike and I love food. We love great catfish. It's made right there in Macon, Mississippi. And Visit Mississippi.org celebrates who we are as Mississippians, start to finish. It's a beautiful thing. Plan a road trip with your loved ones and fall in love with Mississippi all over again. I'm Steve Azar. We'll be right back with Mike Farrell, the Monk Guy. Don't go nowhere.
Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis. Come on back to Memphis. Yeah. Come on back to Memphis.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
There's a ton of content from SuperTalk Mississippi on our new YouTube channel. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi on YouTube or go to supertalk.fm/YouTube. Be sure and subscribe for free to get the latest scoop on what's happening in Mississippi news, politics, sports, and the good things happening here in the state.
This Valentine.
Yeah, I've been down. I've been beaten. I've been cheated. You see it in the way I walk. Read it on my weary face. Been more like a pebble.
My guest today has a busy day. He's sitting there acting like it's easy to quiet the mind because he can do it, but I can't. I'm not going to quiet my voice when it comes to celebrating the catfish that's made over in Macon, Mississippi. Please go to superiorcatfish.com. It's fantastic. You can get it delivered to your home. Store.superiorcatfish.com. I wish everybody could take a trip over to the plant and just watch how much they care about what's going on your plate and in your bodies. It's just awesome. And visit Mississippi.org. I mean, like, man, it's just an adventure waiting to happen. Check it out and plan a road trip. It's the best way I can explain. And get some friends from around the world to come visit you. People you hadn't seen in a while, and take them to celebrate your town and why we are. Celebrate why Mississippi has that unique personality and the characters. Every one of us are characters in a way. We're like a walking movie here in Mississippi. All right. The Monk Guy, Mike Farrell, is my guest today. You go to the monkguy.com. Follow him, please. You'll get a newsletter every Wednesday that is beneficial, to say the least. All right, Mike, a few things left from The Happiness Advantage by Sean. What's his name?
Azar.
Okay. Mm-hmm. For untold generations, we've been led to believe that happiness orbited around success. I love that. That if we work hard enough, we will be successful, and only if, what is that? Did you have a typo there? We're successful, we'll be happy. Oh, only if we are successful, we'll be happy. Now, thanks to breakthroughs, keep going here with positive psychology, mm-hmm. We've learned that the opposite is true. So explain a little bit of that.
Well, I think as Sean says in his book, this idea of happiness, I think we can go back probably decades to look at most of the, it's interesting when you look at the success literature that's been written. If you go back to the success literature that was written back in the 40s and 50s and even into the early 60s, you had the Napoleon Hills, and you had the W. Clement Stones, and you had the Dale Carnegies, and those guys. All of their success literature was based on this idea of a foundation of virtue, of really doing the right thing, and that's how you create success, by doing the right thing. But ever since that time, probably late 60s into the 70s and since, most of the success literature is now all driven by the fact that the only way that you get happy is if you're successful, i.e. make more money, and or build a great business, or whatever the case may be. And so we sort of lost that virtue success stuff that was really prevalent back in the 50s and 60s. Well, now they're beginning to study this through positive psychology. And again, remember, positive psychology has only been around since 1998. It's a relatively new science. But now as they begin to study this, they're finding out that success doesn't drive happiness. Happiness drives success. When we are acting and living virtuously, when we are in a happy state, when we're expressing gratitude, when we're doing the things that are the right things to do, those are the things that lead to greater success than success leading to greater happiness, than more money leading to greater happiness. You and I both know lots of people that have been very, very successful, probably have made lots of money, and they're miserable human beings. Yeah. And I think that this idea that Sean talks about in the Happiness Advantage really is this idea that says, if we really focus on being happy first, the success will follow.
Well, it also takes life and real stuff happening to all of us at some point, curveballs that come, and then we have to reset. And those resets, you hope that you'll come out better than you were, even though you went through the toughest of times.
Yeah,
when you do come through, when you come through it sometimes it's like, oh, baby, I had to go through that to get to here, and that was worth it. You know what's worth it? Talking to you. I can't thank you enough. My pal Mike Farrell. TheMonkGuy.com. Check it out. He'll send you a newsletter every Wednesday. If your business is going through some things that you can't quite put your finger on and you know you need a reset, he's your guy. And just get in touch with him through his website and check his wonderful books out. And I'm Steve Azar. Superior Catfish is produced right here in Mississippi, like I was produced right here in Mississippi, and I love it. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org. Just celebrate your Mississippi, give a dang about it, and watch people come visit. And they may never leave. We're like Hotel California in a way. Once you really experience this, you can check in, but you can't check out. Mike, you're the best.
Steve, thanks. Appreciate it.
Love you, pal.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
You know that nowadays, most people go online to look at a business before they spend their money. What if the online information about your business is incorrect, or even worse, not very flattering? If your online presence isn't great, you may be losing customers. STMM Digital's trusted and highly trained team is the answer. We're ready to work with you to help your business capitalize on the power of digital marketing. Call 601-991-2305 or go to stmmdigital.com to get started today. There's a ton of content from SuperTalk Mississippi on our new YouTube channel. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi on YouTube or go to supertalk.fm/YouTube. Be sure and subscribe for free to get the latest scoop on what's happening in Mississippi news, politics, sports, and the good things happening here in the state. A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.